All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to Carolina Flex Start. Got myself and Big O back here with you. It's our second one this month as we've switched over to being bi-monthly. Start off with a couple quick updates, and then we'll get into some other things. And we got a cool interview coming here in a little bit. So what I've been up to lately, getting really close to getting this SEW Trails course open. Been doing a lot of coursework. The course is looking great. We are just so close to being ready for tee pads and baskets. And the plan is to open Memorial Day weekend and kind of have a U-Disc Flex start. Not really going for ratings, just wanted to see how it plays for different divisions and then just get feedback. Just have players let us know what's been going on and, what they felt about the course. Owen's been out there doing a lot of work. He's been helping, he's designing the signs and doing all sorts of stuff. He put everything on U-Disc. So, Owen, any thoughts on the SEW Trails course?
Yeah, really exciting. Just to have it's always exciting to have a new course in the area, but then once you start seeing it and walking it and realizing that, what type of holes are going to be out there and just how unique that property is going to be, it's really cool to see it. It's probably my favorite time to ever see a course is before it's ever put in, which sounds a little weird, right? Because I can't even play it. You can throw some frisbees out there in the woods, but it's the best time to be on a property in disc golf is when it's coming together, because you see the types of things that go into it that you never see once it's completed.
Yeah. The cool thing is too, I'm going to mention the name Sasha Rogers. She's kind of our contact with the SEW company. And I was out there walking it. We were putting some Roundup on a couple holes yesterday, and we came up to a hole that we haven't seen most of these holes when the weather's been nice and stuff is turning green. So we come up to hole 7. We leave 6. We go up the rocks, and we get there to the tee pad for hole 7, and the fairway is green. We're like, whoa, this is cool. It's just like it's just busting and bursting right now. It's just so cool.
The next year of that course will go through. You'll get to see all of those season changes for the first time, right? Mm-hmm. So you're seeing some of the spring changes right now. You'll see the summertime and how it looks then, and then fall will hit, and you'll start to see the leaves change colors and the grass change. You'll see it in the wintertime when all those lower limbs kind of raise back up when they lose their leaves completely. Mm-hmm. So it'll be really exciting to see it in its first couple of seasons going through.
Yeah, it's something you never really consider, and then especially when, I was out there walking the property when, it was just like this, trees in front of you everywhere, and there's, you just kind of imagined lines, and now then the lines come into being, and now it looks like a disc golf course. Super cool. So yeah, have that going, and then some folks are watching and listening to the podcast might know that my wife had hip surgery a few weeks ago. So I haven't been doing a lot of playing or anything and or filming, although great courses have been out there filming. I had Hartford Burley and Michael Bowman. They filmed Seneca Spring Fling A tier this past weekend for me, and lots of great action. But this was the first time that Great Courses has been on site, and I haven't been there, so it's still a little weird. And I'm going to give a little couple of spoilers here. You might see a tournament ace during one of the rounds, so that's kind of cool to get one of those on camera. And commentary team will feature, from what I understand, another first. Ryan Ish-Omer reached out to somebody who played in the tournament, and I think this is his first time, if I understand correctly, doing commentary. MJ himself, Michael Johansson, will be on the mic for all 4 rounds, so that's super cool.
I've had the privilege of playing a couple of rounds with Johansson, and really enjoyable to talk to. And he's not afraid to talk to anybody he hits on a card with. So really excited to watch and listen to that footage.
Yeah. So what's been up with you?
Well, you mentioned SEW, helping out there, trying to get in some coursework, cutting trees, trimming up limbs, kind of walking the property, getting a feel for where basket positions, tee pad positions are going. But then also I've been doing some really fun tee sign designing for out there. I've got some new software I've been playing around with, and it's been really fun. And I've got kind of a next level on my tee sign designing that I think I've done, and so that's really enjoyable as well. You mentioned the U-Disc mapping of the course, and all of that starts to come together and really see that place coming out. I'm also doing some tournament director prep. one of kind of the two main events I'm part of during the year. This is kind of my springtime tournament director duties, and so that's Spartanburg Spring Fling coming up in just a few weeks here. So it's going to be the 9th annual. It's going to be my 7th time running it. Signups are open. It's probably the cheapest B tier in South Carolina you've ever seen. It's $40. So get in. And then just my favorite time of the year is literally this week. This week is my favorite time of the year because all of our weekly events are starting back up.
Oh, yeah.
Here in Spartanburg County. So our doubles rounds on Mondays and Thursdays are kicking back into gear. Tag rounds on Tuesdays. It's just, this is my favorite time of the year where I get to go out and play during the week and hang out with all the folks in the local club and local folks that play those courses. And that's my favorite. That's where I started playing disc golf. And that's my favorite thing to do is go out there, play some casual dubs, have some fun. And play my local courses.
Yeah, good times, good time. That's like you said, that's where a lot of people get their start. I mean, you might go out and throw your starter pack and mess around a little bit, but then you work that courage up, and you're like, okay, I'm going to play actually around other people, and then I feel that's when you really start to get invested in the game, and it's so cool.
It's such a great environment too, because you've got MPO players out there playing with MA4 type players, and you just learn from all sides of the game. You know, the MPO players learn from the MA4 players and strategy and doubles and learn how to have fun with things, right? And throw some extra shots, right? They're throwing shots they may not throw in their singles rounds. And the MA4 players are out there and learning from the more experienced players. And it's just a great time all around.
Yeah, indeed. It's I remember last year, I think there was an FA4 player, one of our local ladies. She got teamed up with maybe Rico Garcia or Ryan Mon one week at Tiger River in doubles, and it was just like it was the highlight of the year for her. It was so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move forward a little bit here. We got some you got some updates for us on our touring pros. Speaking of.
Yeah, so let's look at, I think we had kind of two main events between our last podcast and now. So the first one was the MVP Music City Open. We kind of previewed this one on the last one. It's presented by Another Round. Results out of that kind of flopped from the last couple of events. Jake and Evan were really kind of owning, from a South Carolina perspective, a couple of those events. And Braden Sides kind of came back up and reminded us of some of his stint from earlier in the year overseas. He placed 36th in that event, so a -8. That's a 10.23 average. But he did end up topping Ryan, Evan, and Jake, who all tied at 57th. -1. So Ryan, Evan, and Jake kind of ending up right there. Lower down in the tournament, still averaging well above 1,000 though over there. So notable, I think Braden kind of jumped the other three and got himself back into the mix, and I'll go over some of the tour standings here in a little while.
Yeah, Braden is so smooth, man. He's just when I see him have troubles, it's usually closer to the basket he gets. But if he's putting well, he's probably going to finish well in the tournament.
Yeah, I think out of those four guys, I think all of them have the ability to beat each other on any given day. It'll be interesting to see as the season really goes along and several of these guys get solidified in their tour careers, who starts, separating themselves from the pack of these South Carolina. Can one of them make a name for themselves and really put them above the others? So then we moved on to an A tier, the Charlie Vetnier Open, powered by Prodigy. This wasn't a full field. It wasn't a Pro Tour event. I mentioned it was an A tier, so not a full field, but so little asterisks there, but still some great round ratings from a couple of the folks out there. Braden Sides again took first out there, actually in a playoff against Jake Mon. So two of the South Carolina guys right there, averaging like 1040, 1045, I think, out there at that event. So although a shorter field, they averaged really, really well out there and had some great rounds. So Jake and Braden fighting it out, and Ryan Mon kind of joining them out on tour in both Music City and here, and so Ryan was right there, tied for fourth behind Jake and Braden. So 10:25 average for Ryan, and nice little A tier for them to get in.
Yeah, Charlie Vettner's kind of a name tournament. I don't. Maybe it was a lot bigger in the past. It might have been a pro tour event at one point in time. I think it's in Lexington or Louisville, Kentucky, one of those two. But yeah, I was watching scores this past weekend, and man, Jake, I thought he was going to go wire to wire. I mean, he led day one, day two, day three, and then Braden just kind of snuck up there and then tied him at the very end, and then won in the playoff.
Yeah.
It's good to see that strong competition from these local guys and just making names, making names. So cool.
Absolutely. They're making most of these tour stops too, and really putting themselves in the mix. We'll talk about that in the standings here in a minute.
Okay.
So upcoming, kind of next 2 weeks preview, or next couple of weeks preview. We've got another Pro Tour event, the 43rd Kansas City Wide Open. Jake, Evan, and Braden are all going to be out there. Ryan's going to be out there as well. And then kind of returning from earlier in the year, Paul Ulibarri is going to get back out
No, nice.
at that event. So currently he's signed up for that. So we'll get the five of them kind of really battling it out at the Kansas City Wide Open.
Nice.
After that, we're going to have a split field May 1st through the 4th. Paul Ulibarri and Jake Mon are going to be at the 2025 PGA Champions Cup by
cool.
OTB and MVP Disc Sports. So that will be cool to see the two of them compete. That, of course, will be full strength of field, and see how they stack up out there.
Nice.
And then more local, a lot of the guys seem to be coming back to South Carolina for Huck Central. So we've got Braden and Evan, Ben Wolf, Martin Neese, Adrian Garcia, Dylan Sepola, and Brent Hanu. So that's pretty much our full South Carolina field, other than Paul Ulibarri and Jake Mon will be at Champions Cup. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at I'm filming Huck Central too, and I was looking at the roster, and it's grown significantly in the past couple weeks. Go ahead and add. There's a guy he's recently become a transplant from San Diego to South Carolina, Clint Calvin. He's living in the Greenville area now, and he's going to be playing. And then there's I don't know if you heard the name Bryson James. He's a Georgia guy. When I was working on a degree at University of Georgia, and this was in maybe 10, 15 years ago, I used to play in Athens. I used to play doubles on Monday nights sometimes at this little course out there. And there's this kid. I mean, it's like you're Jake and Evan, when we knew them when they were 12 or so. It's like, who's this Bryson James kid? And he steps up and starts throwing 350, 400. Like, whoa, what the heck? And that's, and then of course he's, still killing it. It's so cool to see that, now that he's older.
lesson learned, never underestimate the 14, 15-year-old at your local doubles.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
for sure. If you show up and you don't recognize them, don't underestimate them. That's
right.
for sure.
They might put a whipping on you. Well, cool.
What do we have going on the amateur side, local tournament-wise in South Carolina?
So back to the Seneca Spring Fling, I mentioned that I had Hartford Burley and Michael Bowman filming for me. While Michael Bowman was on main cam for the MPO, his son, Hunter, was winning his first A tier. So he won MA1, and we've been talking about Hunter on this podcast, and it's like, when's he gonna have that moment? Right, that's his time is now, evidently, because he had a good solid win for this 4-round A tier this past weekend. Took it down. Had a couple thousand rated rounds, averaged 992. And also, it was his birthday that weekend. He turned 17, so that's a pretty decent birthday. Yeah.
That's great.
I think I just won my first A tier.
Dad filming you. Your birthday's that weekend. Man, I hope. Really good to see. The Bowmans are really good people.
Yeah.
They've been out to several work days and club events and all sorts of things. So really, really great people, and so excited to see Hunter make that step. And we've been talking about the amateur rankings in the last couple of episodes, and talking about how Alan Vasquez have really been running away with this. And I think if Hunter keeps weekends like this, if he sprinkles a few of them in there, we're going to have a 2-horse race here
Yeah.
in MA1 in South Carolina between the two of them. So excited for Hunter and good to see him have that great weekend.
Yeah, a couple other guys I want to give a shout out to. Riker West, who he's been on Catch Cam for me a lot. He had one of his best events ever. He finished 6 out of the field of 32 in MA1, averaged 960, had a lot of great rounds. And then Colton Ebbett, who is kind of another up and comer, he tied for 8th. He averaged 954, I think it was. And just a side shout out, although it wasn't South Carolina, it certainly, of course, everybody knows, he got his first MA1 win at Hornet's Nest a couple weeks ago, and then it was Hornet's Nest the long, so like the big boy version.
I can see that setting up really well for Colton in his game.
Yeah, and he shot 1,000 rated round the first round, and then held on to win. So cool.
Colton and Evan, or Riker and Colton are both guys that I can see definitely making kind of some steps. You can tell they're putting a lot of work into their game, a lot of time into the game. They're playing a lot of rounds. They're playing a lot of, Riker's got some filming going on. He's really active out there, and you can tell they're putting in work into their game and focusing on it. So they're definitely ones to watch.
Yep, getting that next level stuff. Pretty cool. All right. Now you mentioned before we're going to talk a little bit about the MPO tour standings and how our South Carolina folks are looking.
Yeah, so let's first look at PDGA ratings, right? So Evan Scott just took a 4-point bump up. He's now sitting at 1021, so that puts him up there tied with Braden Sides. Alex Durham kind of fell out of the 1,000 rated club. Well, guess what? He's back in it. So +4, he's right back at 1,000. Alex is going to be kind of teetering the line back and forth. Maybe we'll see if he gets his game consistent and stays up in it. And then Martin East took a 2-point jump. He's up to 1,009, so he's getting some rounds in and increasing there. And then, just Jake Mon took a small little 1-point bump, but every point matters, and those points are harder to get the higher you climb. So he's up to 1027, so really solid up there rating wise. And then to take a peek, I know it's really early in the year. We're 4 or 5 events in, really, in the tour standings, but I think it's important to kind of look at this early on and see how it develops throughout the year. So the Pro Tour publishes these, right? And these are the current world standings for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. A reminder that the top 32 players get an invite to the Tour Championship at the end of the year. That is what most folks call like the big cash line, right? You make it into the Tour Championship, and you're looking at a good payday to make it into there, right? A lot of that money throughout the year is funneled to that last Tour Championship event. So a peak right now above that cut line of 32 sits Jake Mon at 22, so solidly within the cut line, and Evan Scott at 24, right behind him. So 2 of our South Carolina guys sitting well within the top 32 right now, lining themselves up to really be part of the Tour Championship conversation at the end of the year. I really hope that those guys can keep it up, but I think that's really cool to see. We've also got, of course, on the leaderboard out there, Braden Sides at 51, Paul Ulibarri at 62, Ben Wolf at 89, Ryan Mon at 92. A couple of those guys haven't played as many of events and maybe haven't had the finishes that Jake and Evan had, but still cool to see them on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a video that I've got that it was one of the first things I ever filmed, and it was long years ago, maybe 5 years, maybe 4 years. Jake's in it, Evan's in it, you're in it. And I can't remember who the 4th person is. Maybe Anthony Anselmo.
I think it's Anthony Anselmo. If it was out at Holston, I think So
yeah, it's a summer league thing, and it never. It was one of those where we had planned to do commentary, and then everybody got busy with school, and I think you were graduated and starting job or something like that. I can't remember completely, or maybe you were finishing school, and it just didn't work out. So I just been sitting on that for years. I think it would be super cool to bust that out with some commentary, and see little skinny Evan,
that's maybe you should sprinkle in some throwback footage into
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and find some old footage and find it. And that would, if you've still got the full round, yeah,
Hmm.
let's take a look at that and sprinkle that in at some point.
Yeah, I know exactly where that's at, so I think it might be time to that would be some great surprise footage. All right, cool. Well, we'd like to welcome to the podcast Cory Wickline, another round Greenville. Cory, thanks for joining us here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So instead of these standard questions that I've got lined up for you about the store and
Yeah,
stuff, I
yeah.
mean, nobody wants to
The
hear about
boring
that right
stuff,
this
right?
minute. Yeah. We want to hear if we're talking comic book language. This is your secret origin. All right. What's the who was Cory before he was another round Cory? What did life look like before that?
It was simpler, that's for sure. Had a lot more free time. But yeah, no, I mean, I grew up here. I was, been here for what am I, 40 now? So I've been here about 40 years or so. I grew up in Tigerville. Went to the same school from K4 all the way through college, pretty much. And that was Bob Jones University. And so
Mm-hmm.
now I was in Afghanistan for a year, and I have been doing real estate for about 10 years. My wife and I own a couple rental properties, and
Nice.
um, yeah, we have a clean out business where we clean out hoarders' houses and stuff like that. And yeah,
Whoa,
oh yeah,
really?
we've done some crazy stuff in the past, but yeah, now we do this pretty much. I do some real estate still. I'm about to list a house tomorrow, but and get one on
Hmm.
the market already. But yeah, the store keeps us pretty busy, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Wow. The jack of all trades
That's
there.
right.
It's pretty cool, the real estate thing. It reminded me, my drone guy, Kevin Day, he posted a video a couple weeks ago where he did a showing of a house, and he's got this drone, literally, it's like this
Yeah, right.
big, right? And he flew it through the front door, flew it through the downstairs, flew it up the steps, through the upstairs, out the window to show the neighborhood and back in. It's
Oh,
the
so
craziest
he's a
thing I've ever
pro,
seen.
pro. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, he's got like 12 drones.
cool.
He's a pro or he's got a serious issue that he needs therapy for.
Man, I bet that's changed real estate a lot, right, Cory? I mean, think about what when you started doing that. It was probably what you get a picture of the front of the house and the floor plan on a like blueprint,
Yeah, and now
maybe.
they have these it's a camera that you bring in there, and it like maps the entire house too. So
Yeah.
those are super cool. A Matterport or something,
Wow.
I think is what they're called. But yeah, those are cool.
Wow, that is
Yep.
crazy. Owen, what you got for him?
Yeah, so Cory, not as interesting as Vern's question about an origin story. This is more shop
Yeah, yeah.
related, but tell me about another round Greenville a little bit overall, but then also how you're involved with the local community, the local clubs, tournaments, those things.
Yeah, I mean, so it's normal. What do we open 11 to 7 every single day, and so that keeps us busy. But we're glutton for punishment. So my wife and I do a bunch of other stuff too. So I'm on the board of the Upstate Disc Golf Club, and then we are in our busy season right now, which is my wife runs the women's league that we have that runs
Mm-hmm.
through most of the spring, I think into maybe June, and that's every Monday night. Super beginner friendly, just random dubs, super free. It's just getting more people, especially the underserved community out there that there's not a lot of disc golf opportunities out there for women. Everyone wants women to play, and I think it's a very noble thing. And but to create safe spaces for them is harder to do. And so we try to do that, and especially we have a beginners league too, that I just got done with right now. I think it was probably 14 or 15 people out there tonight for beginners
Mm-hmm.
league, and we just do a random doubles out there. Again, it's free. We give like CTP prizes and stuff out. But again, it's just giving people out there that are maybe like super comfortable, like going out to, let's say, doubles at like Timmons or something like that, where you have to pay $10, $15 to play, and you get paired up with some jerk who is there for straight up money, and if he's not
Yeah.
winning, then he's upset. So,
Yeah.
and that's actually the genesis of why we wanted to do that too, is because I was at the shop one day and somebody called and said, "Hey, is there any place for me to go play some doubles with people in the community?" He had moved from North Carolina or something. And he said, "I am not very good, but I want to play with people who are like me. And I don't want to play with the
Mm-hmm.
super intense people who, if they're not first, second, or third tonight, then he's going to be upset. Is there
Oh
any
yeah.
place for
Yeah.
that?" And I was like, you know what? There should be. So that's what we decided to do.
Vern and I were just talking about, this is our favorite time of the year because we get to start those weekly events back up. We get enough daylight in the
Yeah.
afternoons during the week. We've got a couple of our doubles events that are a little bit more serious, and we've got, $5 or $6 on the line. But then Vern also runs, a free tag round on
Right.
Tuesdays that we love here in Spartanburg. So in that same, we love that type of
Yeah.
stuff. It's my favorite time of the year. It's what I enjoy playing disc golf the most in. It's how I started playing disc golf. Me and my dad would just go out to doubles, and we enjoy playing for just $5 on the
Right.
line, but it was super casual, and we loved playing it. And that's how we
Yeah.
started.
It's
So
cool. And it just gets more people out there, and especially people who aren't plugged into the community or just don't know that much about it. And our store has really become I don't know, a hub of information. So we just have, if you can play disc golf with other people every single day of the week and only drive, I don't know, depending on where you live, 30 minutes in either direction, and
yeah,
you can get
Mm-hmm.
doubles, you can get singles rounds, you can get tag rounds in, all that stuff. So we're in the hotbed of disc golf here. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, kind of a nice place to be. We were just commenting that Clint Calvin just relocated from San Diego to this area, and although I didn't film it personally, I've been going through the footage because we're getting ready to release the Seneca Spring
Yeah.
Fling footage, and I caught a little bit of a conversation between Clint and MJ talking about just what a great area the I-85 corridor is. Anywhere from Charlotte down to Atlanta is just it's just a place to
It
be.
is.
It's a
Yep.
great place to live for disc golfers.
Yeah, I mean, and just look at the pros that we have coming out of here too. And those guys, your Ryan Mons, your Jake Mons, your Micah Groffs, Jake Wolf lives
Yeah.
across the street from the house, from the shop, and he can get to the shop in 3 throws from his house probably. Well, 3 Jake Wolf throws, not mine and your throws, but yeah, I mean, you have all those guys here, and they are, they're great disc golfers, and they started, yeah, just like you were saying, Owen, like they were going out to doubles with their dad, and $5 on the line, and just jumping in anywhere that they can.
I've
Mm-hmm.
got a picture somewhere of Jake and Evan, part of one of our junior leagues. I think we had running at one point
Yeah,
in time,
Oh
and they're
yeah.
like maybe 3.5
right.
feet tall. They have to be.
Pudgy.
Um,
Wasn't Jake super pudgy too?
he was out there.
Yeah.
All of them look completely
Yeah,
different. They look like alternatives of themselves now. So, but I wish they were still that small because maybe I could beat them
yeah,
still. But
it'd be nice.
So Corey, this is me. Owen's interested in other things. I'm interested in like all the
Yeah,
background,
yeah.
all of that stuff. So we're kind of coming at you from new directions. All right. So how did this involvement with another round even get started? I mean, did Kyle and Joseph reach out to you? Do you know one of those guys, or did you reach out to them, or what? How did this come about?
Yeah, we just took our so I met them well, I met Joseph. If you follow another round on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you always see the throw that's at Scrapyard that is like what is
Mm-hmm.
it, 200 foot over the top of the water, but it
Yeah, whole eight.
frames it super perfectly. It just makes for a dramatic shot since there's lots of water and
Mm-hmm.
stuff there. And we were playing a course. It was probably, was it 2 years ago, I think at this point? Yeah, 2 years ago. We take a buddy's trip every once in a while. And we went up there, and I think it was March of 2023. Yeah, I think that's right. March 2023, we were up there, and we were like, "Hey, this is that course where that guy throws all those aces from across the water." And we were like, "No,
Uh huh.
this isn't the one." And sure enough, we walked up on the hole, and we were like, "Yeah, this is the one." And we were like, "No, wait!" We look across the water, and there he is fishing frisbees out of the water. So we were like, hey, another round. He was like, hey, what's up, guys? And he was like, hey, $50 to the shop if anybody hits an ace. So we all tried and failed miserably. But then we went around and we got a picture with him. And he just sent me that picture. I think on its anniversary, it popped up for him as like a memory, and he sent that. But yeah, we just met him there, and we said, "You want to play the rest of the round with us?" And he was like, "No, I just pretty much throw this hole in the next one, and that's it. I haven't
Hmm.
played a full round of disc golf in a very long time without filming it." And we were like, "Okay, well, it was really great to meet you. We're gonna head on." So we went on to the next hole. Ooh, I went dark. There I am. And went on to the next hole, and he caught up to us on the next hole, and he said, "Hey, you seem like good guys. You're gonna jump in with you." It was like I think it was 5 or 6 of us, and so he jumped in, and we had never played it before, and he just kind of showed us the lines to take and everything, and just kind of
Nice.
hung out with him for about an hour and a half, finishing up the round there. And we said, "Hey, why don't you bring another round to Greenville?" And he was like, "Why don't you?" And we were like, "Man, that sounds like a terrible idea. We're not doing that." And sounds like too much work because all of us are real estate agents. All of us are real estate agents, and one of us was still is a mortgage broker. And so,
Hmm.
plenty of free time, and actual money is nice, and
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, I played with the rest of us, and yeah, the rest is history.
That's pretty
Yep.
cool. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I've got a kind of another round story from Charlotte. Morgan
Yep.
Long. Morgan's an another round guy. He's a TD around the area. Morgan's good friends with Kyle Deck. So through Morgan, I've known Kyle for a good while, and I've traditionally played a lot of events in Charlotte. My wife and I we played the CAC, the Charlotte Am Championship, a bunch of those things.
Back when there wasn't a tournament in Spartanburg and Greenville every weekend.
Oh yeah.
Like when I was in college playing, and every weekend I wanted to play a tournament, and I was driving to Charlotte, I was driving to Columbia, I was driving to Atlanta, I was driving up to Western North Carolina, anywhere I could find a
Yep.
tournament. I'd drive 2.5 hours that Saturday morning,
Yeah.
play the tournament, drive 2.5 hours back home
Hmm.
because I was too cheap to pay for
Hmm.
anything in college to stay overnight. And now I can play something in Greenville or Spartanburg every single week. There's sometimes two events in Greenville. I get a choice,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
it's crazy.
But we were up there, and we got to Eastway had just
Yep.
reopened. The redesign of Eastway, and Morgan's like, "Hey, you want to go play it?" And Kyle's going to be there. It's like, "Oh, how cool!" Get to play with the one of the owners of another round. So we're up there playing, and it's funny. We're on like hole 5 or 6 or something like that, and I'd known Kyle for a while, but I mean we were just kind of like acquaintances, and we are talking about this and stuff like that, and I said, yeah, I can't remember, like maybe it was the Escape or something like that. I said, yeah, I wish I could get some more of that and some more discs like that. And Morgan said something like, I think I know where there's a good disc golf shop. I said, oh, how far away from here is Played Again? And Kyle was like, and I was like, just like as
Yeah.
deadpan as
Right.
possible, just like, dude, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But yeah, those are just good guys. Kyle's come down here. He's played a number of our events down
Yeah.
here, and yeah, just good people, just good people.
Yeah, and he actually he came down like one of my passions is course design and just like laying out courses
Hmm.
and trying to find new stuff. And yeah, Kyle came down and helped me look at a couple, just lay eyes on some things. And we got a tournament that was running northern, I guess it's Spartanburg County too. That it's come back for its second year, and he came and helped me just like look at all that stuff too. So yeah, he's pretty good at that because
Yeah.
he runs what is it, Carolina Clash every year too, which is
Hmm.
a
Yep.
big A tier
Yep.
now, and it's he calls that it is a ton of work, and he calls that his love letter to Charlotte disc golf, and he's on the board and stuff up there too. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a big heart.
Indeed. Oh, and you got another thing here?
Yeah, so Corey, back kind of, we're gonna keep jumping back and forth. Back to kind of business model for another round Greenville. Talk about like what's the importance for social media for the shop, and do you enjoy it? What goes into the work for social media? Because like you were just talking about, Joseph up there, and he hasn't played, a full round probably out at Scrapyard in forever, but he goes out to those holes. It seems like every
Every
day
day.
based on what I see on social media. So talk about what the importance of that and how you enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean they got it down up there. Of course, I mean they have, it's a full national brand that they have. I think it's like, I don't know, 90,000 followers, something like that.
Yep.
So I
Hmm.
mean they have a very big following, and a lot of that, I mean most of it comes from all the social media stuff that he does. And when we first started, I think his idea was like, hey, let us handle the social media part and like the marketing of like discs and stuff like that, and you just worry about running the shop. But the more the longer that we are in this, the more you realize that hey, we actually have a pretty big load to carry here too with social media, especially if you want to start promoting stuff that the shop does. Because I mean, I think we have like almost 3,000 followers right now, and it's just on Instagram. I'm not sure about Facebook. But I mean, it's a great way to get the word out about a lot of events, a lot of like really, stuff that we're doing, like beginners league and women's league and stuff like that too.
Hmm.
And it's just a really good way to do that. We don't do it a ton to like, move frisbees or whatever, just because there's so all these companies have like big marketing programs that will,
Yeah.
almost sell the disc for you. We just have to carry them. But it's more. It's I wish it was like, you just go out there, film yourself throwing a couple discs and no problem. But I mean, you guys know the editing and just the post-production stuff. Just I am way faster at it right now. But man, I was so slow in the beginning, and I'm still pretty slow, but I'm just way faster than I am now. But we try to get out, it sucks because you got to keep on top of it. And if you don't, the algorithm will kick you out of it. And now you're in trouble
Hmm.
because now you just drop down and drop down and drop down. So, so I'm sorry to everybody who has to keep seeing my face and me throwing with my terrible form and throwing frisbees all the time. But I mean, I am my mission is to like throw every single disc in my shop too. So if somebody asks me, that I actually have a reference point for them, and not just what
Yeah.
everybody else did, but my experience with it too.
Hmm.
So you
Man,
got to
I
do
don't
it.
think I've even thrown every disc in my garage. Like I think I have disc in my garage I
Well,
haven't thrown
you
before,
probably have as
and
many as in your garage as I do as my store, though.
I don't know about maybe not, but I've had some stuff sitting in boxes and it's been there for years, and it's like I want to throw it one day,
Yeah,
but I'm also set with what I've got in the bag, and so I'm not the same. I've gone to juniors leagues before and given out discs that I had out to the, and they said, well, how is this? I said, I have no
yeah,
clue.
right.
I've never thrown it before. Good luck. You throw it in the field, you find out.
Well, and it's a problem too because I have like I went out to Tiger today because we have an employee that works in the afternoon on Wednesdays, and so me and my son went out to Tiger today, and I threw a bunch of in my bag. It was a bunch of discs that I had never thrown, and I ended up I think I had like from the shorts I had 10 birdies, but then ended up as like on a -5 because I took like two double bogeys and like a bogey somewhere, and it was with discs that I hadn't thrown before, other than a couple times like in the yard or something like that. So I mean, there's definitely a learning curve with one of them, with some of these discs, but it still gives a
Hmm.
good reference point for people. And a lot of people don't have the budget to go out and buy a ton of discs, a bunch of
Yeah.
like overstable 7 speeds or something. So I mean, is an Athena worth it? Is an iDog worth it? Is whatever, and just be able to give people a reference point of like, well, I threw this on this hole, and I ask them like, hey, what shot are you actually looking for? And they'll say,
Hmm.
I need something. I'm a right hand backhand player. Number 5 at Timmons always gets me. Okay, we'll try a function or something like this because that works really great on that. To go out and play these go out and play these courses, but also have a good reference point for what they throw, what courses they throw them on, and what discs and stuff too. It keeps us busy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never really thought about that. Almost in the shop, you're almost like if you put it in like golf terms, you're like the club fitter as
That's exactly
well.
right.
Like in the back of the store, right? They're like, hey, this is what I'm looking. I've got a draw, or I've got a fade. I've got an issue with this. This is a shot I'm looking for. Can you help
Yeah,
me? And trying to help them pick out what's there.
and not
So,
that I'm super great.
and especially
Yeah, and
especially today with the plethora of options
there's
that are
so
out
many.
there too,
There's so
right?
many.
It's not 8 years ago where Okay, Innova had a bunch of molds, but everybody else was doing it
right?
simple things and things like right. Everybody's got all sorts of things now.
Yeah, and like with all the stuff, the new what was the MVP stuff that dropped today, the OTB Champions Cup stuff. There was
Hmm.
8 discs in there, and they're all other than the range, everything I think is pretty like an older mold, like nothing like brand new came out. But
Hmm.
still, I mean, people came in that want to. It's a cool, pretty piece of plastic, and they want to throw it. But it's like, what does this do? And it's like, well, this hex, I don't know if you've thrown a hex before, but this hex specifically is the most overstable hex that I've ever thrown ever in this
Hmm.
Roton soft particle glow plastic. So it's stuff like that that we try to be the expert um, in the store about just the disc that we have, and just be able to give people a good reference for if they come in looking for this, and this, or my buddy told me to get this. Well, it's like, okay, how far do you throw? We have a tech disc that doesn't come out all the time, but it's like, what's your spin rate? What's your nose angle on those? What do you throw on this hole, and this hole if you play Century a lot, let's say? And if you can't get past the
Hmm.
tree on, what is it, 15,
Oh,
then
yeah.
okay, so if you can't get past that, maybe let's disc down because it's crashing super hard to the left. And yeah, just like a club fitter, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what we try to do. And like people will say, like, hey, why is yours? I know that I want to walk in here and I want to get a vulture. Where are your vultures? And it was like, okay, well, that's
Hmm.
over here in this section. But also, if you haven't tried a vulture, why don't you try this one if this one's doing something weird? So that's why actually the shop is set up by speed and not by manufacturer. Because your
Yeah.
guys that throw buzzes only are going to come in and they're going to find the buzzes. Yeah, I see your background there.
I feel called out.
I mean, your buzz guys are always going to come in and find your buzz, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, they might like a hex better. They might feel a little better to them, or they might
Yep.
try an MD1, whatever.
Hmm.
Something and they might find their new disc that they fall in love with. Yep.
Yeah. Cool, man. All right, got one more question for you here. This is just kind of a little eye to the future into the past this time. So, do you have any hints or anything, and any very cool, maybe even top secret things that you're involved with that's coming out soon? Maybe any events, any special things that the shop's doing. What you got for us, man? Any spoilers?
Well, I have I've mentioned it before, and there's a new 18-hole course that's coming to the upstate. I am still under strict orders not to give out more information than that, but
Hmm.
we got the RPM baskets, the Helix twos,
Oh, nice.
direct from New Zealand. Took them a
Hmm.
month to get here, and quite the shipping experience. And yeah, and they were stuck in customs for a while. But yeah, that course is coming soon. I just talked to the owner of that property the other day. They're doing the boring, underground utility stuff in, and then
Oh,
so
yeah.
that course should be good next month or two, I'd imagine, probably by June. Coming in tournament wise, nothing on the like. I can be just driving down the road listening to a song and be like, you know what? That would be a really cool trophy to have. And then I like will shape a tournament around like a trophy idea. Something along those lines, or just we like doing, and not everything's going to be sanctioned. We do like some flex start type things, just if it's going to
Hmm.
be, I don't know, just for like community wise, if there's just something, I don't know, like a, I don't know, Memorial Day or something like that, where people
Yeah.
are off work, and we'll just do, and we do cheap stuff too. Low cost things, not cheap, sorry. We do low cost
Right.
things
Right.
just because, we're not out there like on a course to sell a bunch of plastic. We're out to give people, we have a store. So if you need plastic, or with your voucher you want to come into the store, that's great. And if not, and you just want to pay a $10 flex start, then that's great too. Just come out and do that. But other than that, I don't think there's anything crazy. No, nothing crazy.
Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for anything you got going on. Do you want to shout out any social media or anything like that that we need to know about?
Yeah, I mean, if you I mean, follow Another Round Greenville on Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And what really helps if your listeners are into growing the game, especially in this area, what will really help people too is if the post for, like, the women's league, if the for the beginners league, that kind of thing, if those get shared and like even shared to your social media, but also like direct send to people who, like, maybe some coworkers or something that you actually want to get into the
Hmm.
game. That's really helpful too. Yeah,
Cool. All right, Cory, thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, pretty cool to have Cory join us there. It's always cool to have a new shop come in town. There's a couple other places around the state that I definitely want to get those guys on here too. There's a new shop opened up about a year ago in Rock Hill. Get Out and Throw. Kyle Gunderson owns that one, and then we got Teddy Pedler in Myrtle Beach. So definitely want to get some of those guys on here as well.
Yeah, it's good to rotate that around. Love to hear from, the touring pros from time to time, check in with them, but also love to highlight the local efforts in South Carolina and some of the folks behind the scenes making it all happen.
Yeah. Speaking of South Carolina things, I want to do kind of shout out to one of my favorite courses. Let's be honest, it is my literal favorite course, not only in the state, but it is my next to top all time course. I love Harmon Hills in Tennessee. That's my favorite course of all time. I recommend that to anybody if you've never been to Harmon Hills. But in South Carolina, to me, there's only one place that's the place to go, and that's Stoney Hill. Stoney Hill and Newberry, created by Chris and David Sauls. 60 acres of property. Both of them live on the property, as does their sister. All three have houses there, but they have created two overlapping layouts. That's just it's I've heard some people call it God's gift to South Carolina disc golf, and they're not lying. It's just you've got elevation, you've got rolling hills, you've got water carries over an amazing pond that they built, by the way, and then you end up with a throw over a quarry to a mound with an elevated basket. That's hole 18. I mean, it's just amazing. And
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of playing out there before. It's a really nice property, like you said. It's got a lot of different layouts and things, and several of the tournaments they run out there are very enjoyable, and get folks coming back to them every year.
yeah, Stony Hill Challenge, Battle of Stony Hill. This year, I've talked to them, and they're going to help me jump in on the action down there. Going to be resurrecting the South Carolina Masters Championship down there. It's going to be Labor Day weekend. Funny side story, and this is on this channel. I've got a one of the first videos I did was a Stony Hill documentary, and they tell this story better than I could. But the whole impetus for them building Stony Hill is they went down to Florida, Brooksville, Florida, and played Throwdown the Mountain one year, and we're so enamored with that course, as we all are when we go down to it. They're like, I need one of those. I need my own Grand Canyon. I need my own Throwdown the Mountain course. So they searched and searched for property and found Stony Hill, and their thought was, let's create something where every hole is a signature hole. That's the deal with Grand Canyon, now known as Olympus in Brooksville, Florida. But yeah, so that's what they set out to do. They were so inspired by the course at Throwdown the Mountain that they had to build their own course. And living at it is just that's just a bonus.
That's a luxury. Yeah,
Yeah.
literally, they always say like, "Oh, that course is in my backyard." Well, it's not often you say it's in your front yard, right?
Right.
As well. So
Yeah, and good folks too. And if you do decide to play it, it is a private course. All you have to do, there's a Facebook page. They have a website. You can go in UDisc. It's at their contact info. Just give them a call, send them an email, text, whatever, and they're always happy to have folks down there. And in this area of the country, anybody that's anyone pretty much has played Stony Hill. Everybody from Michael Johansson many times, Jeremy Colling, Paul Ulibarri. I saw where Kyle Klein and Cynthia Ricciotti stopped there last year. I mean, Zach Melton took some students from Milligan University and stopped there. Not long after college disc golf. So, yeah, it's a good destination course.
absolutely.
All right, couple things here to end up this episode. Got some filming coming up here. We got Huck Central, as Owen mentioned earlier. Got a lot of good names. That's A tier, beginning of May coming up. Week after that, another event that Owen talked about where he's the TD for it, Spartanburg Spring Fling. It's an amateur only event, so going to be filming MA1 out there at that point in time. Get to see some of our Super AMs playing. And then later in the month, also going to be filming Local Skins episode 3 and 4. Episode 2 is coming out here this week on Friday. Episode 3 and 4 we're going to be filming at Golden Grove, and we got some good local AM action for you there. Well, maybe good is a relative term. It's going to be local AM action, and it will be entertaining. But I can't attest to the quality that it may or may not be.
Maybe good isn't as entertaining, right?
That's
maybe
true.
maybe the not as good is more entertaining, especially for an audience that might relate to it a little bit more. So
Yeah, no kidding. I did see a lot of comments and had a lot of messages of folks from the last video. They said, I really enjoyed the local skins. It's good to see people on your channel hitting trees as much as I do. All right, one more thing. I want to share a clip here from the recent filming. This is out from the Seneca Spring Fling. This is hole 16, Gold Tee, Seneca Champ. Got Clint Calvin playing here. This is a rough par 5. This is a 700-foot shot. And just to let you know, it played as one of the toughest holes in the entire event. But Clint Calvin didn't seem to think so. So first up, let me give you this whole preview here. So you can see the drone flying through. Par 5, 700 feet. Here's the regular tee. So it's a downhill shot. And then you're going to fly over top of this creek, but you got to have placement here because if you end up on the rough left and right, it is truly rough.
yeah, the way this hole really snakes at the end of this, right? It's kind of left, then back right, then back left. It's not really a natural disc golf shot at the very end there. So you have to choose where you try to get to off your first drive. And then most folks are making several shots after that to try to get down there to the pin.
Yeah, it's elevation both directions. Kind of a tunnel from this Gold Tee here too.
That one tree on the left just peeks out just enough to get in the way of like a really straight shot. So you kind of have to throw a flip up.
Yep, which is exactly what Clint did. And great distance and a skip to boot. That is sitting pretty. He's about a third of the way up the hill there.
He's got a unique angle to get over here to the left and then throw his next shot.
Mm-hmm. Kind of really just following the drone flight at this point. A little knock off the tree there, but I mean, he's edge of circle, maybe. And there it is.
Yeah. Great hole.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. Such a great job. Good to have Clint in our area. Can't wait to see him at some other events. Cool. Owen, you got anything else to add this time around?
Nothing else to add.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.